Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Apologies for the studio, aka my empty house. We're moving this week, and there's no internet at my new place, but there's nothing at my old place. So I'll take a picture and share it on my socials. But I'm literally sitting, Soto, against a wall with like an end table, coffee table book, and a Bosu ball as a seat in an empty room surrounded by just like shit. Kind of a little bit like what I imagine the old line room at the Raiders looks like. Just tumbleweeds going by, trash all over the place.
It's like what was it, South Central Louisiana State?
Yeah.
With the water boy when he walked in and like, I just been giving the guys that water to drink over there.
And all the wine glasses have been packed. So I'm just,
to the neck.
What am I gonna do this?
I got a runny nose. I'm freaking congested. I don't know what's happening over here.
Everyone is. It was all the rains. All the rains like kind of clears everything up and then just moves all the dust up.
Oh,
Vicky,
God,
my father-in-law,
right now.
My neighbors, all the same shit. God bless. I'm so happy I wasn't cursed with allergies. Raging alcoholism, but no allergies. God doesn't give with both hands. Happy Thanksgiving, Windbags. Very happy Another Thanksgiving where we don't have to worry about,
playoffs. We're gonna play in
the asses, playoff implications. This was a good year.
When are we gonna go on vacation? Like, we
not
got
an
it all
issue.
squared away.
You don't have to worry about like, is our quarterback gonna get MVP? Like how many of our guys are gonna make the Pro Bowl?
Is our quarterback or the defensive end gonna split the MVP vote? Like, oh
my gosh, like, am I going to be able to take off work so I can be really hungover after watching the Raiders in the playoffs in January? It's like, no, none of those issues.
You have to worry about any of that
at all. Yeah. Real quick, we haven't done a question of the day in a long time. What is one Thanksgiving Day item you refuse to eat? Let us know in the comments. Very curious. I'm a pig. I'm a wrestler. Like, there's literally nothing. I've been to Filipino Thanksgivings. I've been to all kind like Mexican Thanksgivings with all kind of random wild stuff. And I was like, I'll try it. My fat ass will eat anything.
Pretty much, man. Balut is the only thing I wouldn't eat. I said I wouldn't eat it. And I watched somebody eat it and get violently ill. I said, I'm not going to eat that. Do you want to explain to the people what the Filipino delicacy balut? Balut. It's a unhatched goose egg, a duck egg, and they ferment it so it gets kind of spongy. So it's basically a duck that's ready to be born like within days, but they abort it somehow and then they ferment it, and it's like a whole sponge, eggy type of thing. But there's a beak and bones and feathers and all that goodness. And I would say you're eating an embryo, but it's way too advanced to be called. It's way advanced. It's like getting ready to hatch anytime. Like, it's way advanced. It's like eating. It'd be like eating a puppy that's still inside the dog. It's like technically an egg. It's in an egg, but it's an animal surrounded in goo. Yeah. So there we go. We found Soto's limit. And again, if you like it, if you eat it, that's part of your culture. I'm not hating. I eat pig's feet in my menudo, and I know people are grossed out by that. Whatever floats your boat, man. But for me, that's the line I won't cross. I have a thing where I was like, look, if there's a culture that eats something, like I won't eat anything you give me. You're not going to give me like a pile of shit or like a rusty screw or like some, you know what I mean? But if you're like, hey, there's a culture of 30 million people and they all eat this, will you eat it? I'm like, yeah. Anything that a human beings eat, like an actual mass of humans will eat, like I'll give it a whirl. Don't be giving me weird shit. Just give me, okay, people eat this, I'll try. Question of the day. What's one thing in Thanksgiving you refuse to eat? Oh, and raw onions. Raw onions. You show me one culture that just eats handfuls of raw onions or just like eats an onion like an apple, and I'll do it. But I don't think it exists. No cebolla for Soto. So it's not old news, but it's kind of been hit on already. Chip Kelly's fired.
out as OC. So now 2/3 of the coordinators on the Raiders have been canned already this season. We're 3/4 of the way through, and already 2/3 of the coordinators have been canned. But just real quick on Chip. I'm sure you've already covered it extensively, Soto, with Raiders versus the World, but he obviously wasn't the only problem. He's not going to like turn everything around with firing Chip. He was handed a lot of a shitty O-line, a head coach, and a GM that aren't on the same page. So there's some things handcuffed him for sure, but the things that were in his control, he still screwed up.
Yeah, I'm firmly convinced that the whole JPJ to guard fiasco was a Chip Kelly thing.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay. He was the guy that was really defending the whole Jordan Meredith reminds me of Jason Kelce type of thing. That's not a move for a first year offensive line coach who had never been an offensive line coach before. I don't care what your last name is. That I can't pin it down just yet, and I'm trying. I have the same resources that you do, and I'm trying to hint around things to not be so like, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? I don't want to be that guy. But there have been a lot of talk about, you see it on the field. There are times where you see the offense like looking at each other like, what? And there's a funny story. It's not ha funny, but it's a weird story of when Steve Young got one of his last concussions before he had to retire. And he got tackled, thrown to the ground, it bounced off the turf. And he started calling plays that weren't in the playbook. And that's pretty much what was happening with Chip Kelly. He was calling some stuff that wasn't necessarily like he was calling plays out of wrong formations at times. And it kind of left Geno Smith like, well, we got to run something type of thing, right? So he being pronounced by Chip Kelly didn't do himself any favors. Now, on top of that, he was given a group of players that needed to be developed. I don't know that there was much development done. I don't know other than just by usage, right? I don't know that just by usage with Ashton Jeanty, he's gotten better because he's gotten to touch the ball much more. But you name me another rookie on the offense who is markedly better now than they were when the year started. I don't think there is. And that's the fault of the entire offensive coaching staff, not just the head coach or the offensive coordinator or the offensive line coach. That's collectively a failure by the offense.
Well, there was, Chip Kelly had some good things in his hands. He had the best tight end in football available, not the whole season because of injury, but he had him. He had Ashton Jeanty, Jacoby Myers, a veteran quarterback that was coming off of 3 good years, right? So obviously, Geno's a whole other conversation, but he had a track record the last 3 years of playing pretty well. So there's some things going his way. But there was also this was the number one thing I said this preseason. The second Chip Kelly was hired, I think we were both pretty on board. I think we were both kind of cool. I'm down with I think this will be good. Here's what
I was optimistic. There was things that I was worried about. I felt he was more Josh McDaniels than a teacher type coach. He's very plays driven. But I was optimistic about it. He made it work at Ohio State. Okay.
The idea was Pete Carroll's the person coach, and then Chip would be the X's and O's guy, and it should be a good marriage, right? That was, I think we were both pretty optimistic that okay, I think this is good. Neither one of us
can work.
Yeah, neither one of us was this is going to be a failure. But the number one thing that I brought up multiple times is Chip demands a lot of his O-line. He wants 5 guys running routes. He doesn't have really unique protection schemes all that often. He doesn't create some really good run game coordinators really give their O-line advantages by setting up blocks, right? Let's get the linebacker flowing this way, flowing right. So when you block him left, he's already kind of behind. Right? There's real high level run game coordination that some coordinators can do with their O-line. That's not Chip.
Chip's the opposite. Chip's leaning on his O-line. Chip's like, you 5 guys need to be supermen so I can give everyone else the advantage, right? Like if you have Pickens and CD Lamb, you can have 8 guys defending because you have 2 guys that one of those guys can probably break a route, right? Like one of those guys can do that, right? Chip Kelly's opposite. He's like, all right, you 5 guys figure it out. I'm going to do all my shit. And obviously the Raiders O-line, even when they're given every advantage, is terrible. So that was the other part too for me. Soto was like, if this doesn't work out, there's several reasons why it could, but he has no clue or desire, I don't know the answer, to handle a poor O-line in his offense.
Yeah, I just don't understand what the long-term plan was for this offensive line, seeing that there was glaring deficiencies. I don't know that I recognize anything that was like like I understand what he's doing, or I get this and I don't get that. That was something that was really kind of, it was a mystery to me, because when we saw the first iteration of our offensive line, there was holes already. Mm-hmm. We saw that the interior of the offensive line was getting pushed back, and then most of the time it was Jordan Meredith. At the time, it was Jordan Meredith and Dylan Parham. Dylan Parham is kind of flying under the radar. Now, he hasn't been good either, but he just hasn't been as bad as Meredith and Putnam, okay?
I think he's playing hurt too. Like the way he's like, his pad level's high. Like, not being excuses.
All their pad levels are high.
Yeah.
All their pad levels are high. They're talking through the snap. They're asking each other what's going on. They're picking the wrong guys. Jordan Meredith is out there identifying the wrong blitzers. It's really hard to understand what the overall, like there's like a blocking scheme, and then there's different things you do with certain plays. Because like Geno Smith in his press conference said that you have to understand when, the blitz is hot. Blitz is hot means we're going to let them go. That's on you, the quarterback, to get the ball out in time. Mm-hmm. Okay? That means it's got a hot blitzer. That means there's too many people out in the route for whatever the blitz is coming, right? Well, I didn't see any type of progression in that. Everyone was starting to get better at it or get on the same page. Even in games that we did better offensively, we still had really bad breakdowns, especially towards the goal line, where I just didn't see a plan come together. A guy that I played the offensive line and I coached the offensive line and I love offensive line play. And I'm looking at these guys play and I'm like, these guys are looking at each other after plays like, what happened? Like, guys are just coming in free, and who was supposed to get that guy? And it's just way too much of that for me this late in the season.
And also, Chip just has a really punchable face. I think we're not talking about that enough too. Some guys just have really punchable faces, and Chip Kelly does. And I feel like that's at least 17% responsible for his failures as an OC.
Oh man, it's a shame. It's a shame that things had to shake out like this, but ultimately, man, you part of good, strong leadership is knowing who to put in the right positions and knowing to step back and let them make decisions. Because if Tom Brady picked the offensive coordinator and he picked the GM and he picked the quarterback and he nixed another quarterback, it's like, wait, then why don't you just become the GM, or why don't you just become the president? Like, why are you having all these decisions? Like, yeah. I understand as a leader, as a minority owner and a guy that's going to be running a lot, you take care of the front office. You get your leadership skills and your experience in the front office. You put guys in positions to make decisions. And when you take decisions away from people, they often take decisions away from others. So what decisions did Spytek take away from Pete Carroll because Pete got some taken away from him? It's a whole trickle-down effect, man. And again, just like the finance part of it, trickle-down doesn't work.
I'm also curious why you think it was Chip that caused the whole JPJ fiasco, because to me it oozed like JPJ
it seemed like a locker room thing or like a discipline thing. It certainly wasn't. You could not, with a straight face, tell me that Jackson Powers Johnson has to earn a spot, but Kappa doesn't, Meredith doesn't, or whatever. Like, oh, we really need to move things around. Like JPJ's an afterthought. Kappa's the guy he needs a spot, right? Like you could have, with a straight face, tell me that, like, skill wise, that's what it was. So it oozed kind of like a discipline or a character thing, which is almost always head coach as opposed to coordinator.
Well, let me pose this to you. Normally, when things don't make sense, there's a big part of the puzzle that's missing, right? So it just didn't make sense. And from what I'm piecing together from Chip Kelly and what I'm hearing about Chip Kelly and how he ran the offense and Chip Kelly and, what has been said about him and his in-game play calls and what he said in pressers, I think Pete Carroll just didn't want to throw him under the bus. And that's why he was saying, well, he's competing and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And when it really wasn't his call. And it's tough when you're a long-time fringe Hall of Fame head coach and you're saying, well, that's not my call. That power was taken away from me, So it makes more sense now than before if he was given all that power and shit the bed this bad, that's why he didn't last the season. Also, the last 3 games, the team was 70% pass.
Yeah.
After the first 8 games of like, we need to be more balanced. We need to run the ball. We need to be more balanced. And then the last 3 games, you're 70% pass. Come on, bro.
Well, I mean, that would be inconsistent of Pete because Pete was burying Chip pretty consistently, passive aggressively. It's like, hey, I really wish we would have ran more. Oh yeah, like I wish the play calling was different. Like he very publicly at podiums, he didn't even have the like nerve to like leak it out. Like everyone in a position of power in the NFL has like guys, journalists that they want to leak their stuff to. He didn't even do that. He just straight up like at the podium with his name said, yeah, I wish play calling was different. Yeah, I wish this was different. So it's like he wasn't like dunking on Chip, but it would be weird to me if he was playing cover for Chip while also simultaneously passive aggressively burying Chip.
Well, he was also covering himself because basically saying that Chip is Chip Kelly's call. It's like, okay, well, what kind of power do you have as a head coach? You should be able to override that if you don't agree with it. So now he's telling on himself that he doesn't have the power that he should have as a head coach of all his experience. It's a tough situation.
So we've been dancing around, I think, the primary issue that's going on with the Raiders right now. And the long game issue with the Raiders has been disorganization at the top, middle, bottom, left, right, north, south, east, west, black, white, just a lot of dysfunction in that organization. And this isn't a hard thing to put your head around when you haven't won a playoff game in 20 years, right? So when this happens, and whether you're a political entity or a business or a family or a charity, when dysfunction is rampant, finger pointing is prominent.
Oh, yeah.
Backbiting, stabbing people in the back. What's that Randy Marsh from South Park? You need to stop pointing fingers. Finger pointing gets us nowhere. Steve. Like there's a lot of that going on. In literally just the last 36 hours, 24 to 30, we're recording this Wednesday evening, 8:39 p.m. West Coast time. In the last 24, maybe 36 hours, 3 different prominent members of football have bulldogged and clamped their jaws around the neck of 3 different individuals with the Raiders. I'm not talking this season. I'm not talking the last month. I'm talking the last 36 hours, maybe less. And this is just what I've bumped into while moving boxes, getting ready to move my wife and family. And I've still seen it. It is full on Soto Game of Thrones. It is full on secession. It is backbiting, backstabbing, and we got the receipts. We're going to play the videos. We're going to show you the tweets. This is orchestrated, and it's the perfect sign of dysfunction, what we're about to get into, Soto.
Yeah, man, let's get into it because it's hot and heavy. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it shouldn't surprise anybody, honestly.
All right, we'll start with we'll go to the Rich Eisen show. Rich Eisen show.
Easy for you to say.
Tom Pelissero said this.
Just the dysfunction of the Raiders offense. There were times I was told where Chip Kelly was repeatedly botching the play calls, where he's supposed to be, for instance, tagging a motion on a play so the receiver's on the left, not the right. He forgets to say it, so Geno Smith is going to the line of scrimmage and going, this doesn't look right, and they're trying to run a play. It happened on a third down in the game the other day. There's times where Chip, I was told on several occasions, called a play that was either not in the game plan or not installed at all. Things like that happen. You're not productive. That's enough. You didn't need any extra excuses.
Damn.
But there were a lot of things that were popping up with.
So Pelissero isn't one to get all fiery, right? He's kind of your like, hey, here's what I heard. Here's a story. He's like, someone told Tom Pelissero didn't get this information that Chip Kelly is calling plays that aren't in the playbook or calling plays that have wrong formations because he was running through tape and rewatching the first quarter.
Hey, that play is in the Raiders playbook
45 times. You know, he's not in the dumpster of Raiders headquarters sifting through shredded playbooks, taping them together.
That's the Penguin, right? Put together a lot of tape and a lot of time, or a lot of time and a lot of tape.
He ain't doing that. Someone told him. Someone said specifically, this is what, not what I want you to say, but Chip Kelly's doing this. Someone called him and told him specifically this Chip Kelly stuff. And Pelissero rolled with it. So, like, again, he didn't figure this out watching tape. Somebody leaked it on purpose to a prominent person with a very large listenership.
Well, look, here's the bottom line, okay? The bottom line is there's still time. Not time to win this season. Oh. Easy. There's time.
I'm bothered with hearing your words.
There's time for every single player and every single coach on this team to prove they can be here next season. There's still time, especially offensively. If Chip Kelly is as bad as what Tom Pelissero just reported, there should be a lot more continuity, a lot more. I mean, what did Geno Smith say, and what did Pete Carroll say? We just want to get a cleaner operation. They said that many times this week. Pete Carroll said it many times. We want to have a cleaner operation. We want to look cleaner. We want to look more, everything just look
buttoned
cleaner.
up.
And look, I'm not giving anyone any passes. Geno Smith made his apology. Okay, fine. I'm a guy that if you apologize for what you've done and you can demonstrate to me that you understand what you did was wrong, why it was wrong, and how to not happen again, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to say, okay, I was really pissed off. I made some scorched earth videos myself on Eugene needing to get out of here. Then the Raiders still need to handle this. And I'm whatever that is, I'm going to leave that up to the Raiders organization to handle, okay? Geno Smith and his flipping off the fans, that's in the back burner for me now because he apologized for it, and I'm a person that's, okay, if you could come to me as a man, it wasn't typed out by a secretary, and he didn't, okay, that even Geno can prove that he can be a bridge quarterback next season with these last six games. Even Brennan Carroll can prove that he should be here or cannot be on the staff next season, depending on how this team moves forward from here on out. But the margin is razor thin. The margin is thinner than what Chip Kelly coming into this offense. And he made it even worse by, pretty much running it like, what was that, Buttermaker from the Bad News Bears? Passing out drunk. That's pretty much what Chip Kelly was doing. Calling plays not in the playbook. Calling plays like that out of formation. And it's crazy, man. It's how can you be an offensive guru, have the control over the entire offense, no input from anyone else, just you take the offense and run with it, and do stuff like that?
Well,
That's
it's probably
crazy.
because he doesn't have time, because he's so underpaid. He has to be an Uber driver on the weekends. Oh,
He
wait.
was a Teflon chef on the weekends.
He had to, like he was barely making ends meet with that $6 million a year salary, So that's Pelissero on Chip Kelly. Again, this was within the last 24 hours. Here's Amy Trask, former Raiders president.
I'm a big fan of Amy Trask. She's a thug.
20 years ago, she was president. 15?
No, what 20? It was in the early 2000s, I believe.
20 years ago, so
2000.
She was on CBS Sports. Take a listen.
Well, Jacqueline, you, of course, identified on-field problems, and there are, of course, on-field problems. But there are also a lot of problems off the field, behind the scenes. And many people will assume when I say behind the scenes that I'm referring to Tom Brady, but I'm not. The individual who orchestrated Tom's purchase in the Raiders of the limited partnership interest in the Raiders, Jim Gray, has been working to orchestrate the purchase of an interest in the Raiders since Al was alive and we were in the process of selling a minority interest in the team. Well, he finally orchestrated that purchase, and he is now involved in every aspect, or almost every aspect, of the organization. And this is having an impact on the organization, not only off the field, but on the field. So look, Pete Carroll is a very good head coach. But the problems we're seeing on the field are related to the problems that are rampant throughout the organization. They've got to fix the off-field, behind-the-scenes issues in order to give Pete a chance to be his best, which he can be, and address the problems on the field.
Ooh. Ooh-hee. That's a lot.
Dude.
That's a lot.
She wasn't asked about ownership. She wasn't asked about Jim Gray. She wasn't asked about any of this. She's just like, little softball. Hey, Raiders suck. 2 wins, not going great. What do you think?
She said, fuck that bitch.
and she's like, okay, let me passively aggressively.
Dude, there was nothing passive aggressive about that, dude.
Drop
that
this
was just
in your
aggressive.
Well, it's like, look, she didn't. Well, it's like, think of it like this is the thing. That was clearly rehearsed, right? She's like, when I say behind the scenes, a lot of people assume I am speaking of Tom Brady. Hold for dramatic effect. Actually, that's not who I am talking about. It is Jim Gray. Like, she was in the shower practicing that morning, right?
Good for her, man. She did a good job.
And she wasn't asked about Jim Gray. She brought that up without any help. It was just her thing. And she didn't say, look, I would have, look, clearly someone got in her ear and said, let's put the focus on Jim Gray, right? Let's make sure some of the blame, some of the spotlight for this 2-win season so far is on this random dude who really isn't an owner, isn't a coach, isn't officially front office anything, but he's friends with rich and famous people and therefore kind of wriggles his way into important situations. Obviously good friends with Tom Brady and he's friends with a lot of very important, a lot of very wealthy people. And she's just like, let's throw him into the blame game mix.
Okay. So there's 2 possibilities, all right? There's somebody, there's a lot of them, but these are the 2 main ones. There's somebody in the Raiders organization who is not all entirely pleased that Jim Gray has a voice, or Jim Gray's legitimately fucking shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Or both.
I'm sure, like with all things, like there's the truth, there's the lie, then everything in between.
Where did the slide lie? Like, is it like, yeah, people don't like him, but he's not doing that bad of a job? Like, yeah, there's some people that don't like him, but he's really doing really bad, or is it just both? There's got to be something, though. I mean, she's not one to just make shit up out of thin air. I really do respect her and what she says. So I don't think she's going to just come out and say something that's blatantly not true.
No, I don't think. And same thing with Pelissero. We're gonna get to Richie Incognito here in a little bit, and same thing with Amy Trask.
Incognito.
I'm not saying that these people are just like. Sometimes it happens for sure, but I'm not saying these people blatantly make some up off the top of their head and lie to bury somebody. It happens sometimes, but I don't think that's the case. But I do think someone who Amy Trask knows and trusts and is inside the Raiders organization said, this is what's happening. This is what I think is going on. And that's more my point. It's not so much to me, these guys, Pelissero, Trask, these guys are just messengers. They're just the megaphone. There's someone else with a motivation that's saying, I want this leaked. And let me go to somebody trustworthy that people believe, like Pelissero, like Trask, whoever, and have them deliver the message that I want delivered.
I hope and I pray that this person is doing it to better the Raiders. It's possible. It's possible. It happened in a couple other spots. It happened with the New England Patriots. There was a lot of messing around going on there. It happened with the Browns, and they ended up selling the team where people were kind of like telling on each other left and right. It's like, yeah, man, this gets cleaned up.
Let me ask you this. Did a single person from Secession scheme and claw and backstab because they really wanted the company to do better? Or was it for individual gain? Like, did any character from Game of Thrones really care about the realm? Or were they just trying to sit on the throne?
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is the sign of a dysfunctional organization, right? Like,
too many cooks, man. Too many cooks in this kitchen.
Too many. And when it's, you can get strong personalities to get in line if the organization's doing well. If everyone's rowing in the same direction, you have one bad oar, you can overcome that, or you can get them to correct. Think of we keep using the example of a player turned GM, right? With Tom Brady, right? A player turned GM. Jerry West is such a great example, right? Like, he was a better GM than he was player. Like, he was
a Hall of Fame player.
He's the fucking logo of the NBA. He was that good, and he was a better GM than that. Well, the Lakers were a good org. They had the Bus family, and yeah, they had their Jerry was kind of wacky and wild and blah blah blah. But like,
he liked young girls, dude, over 18, of course. He wasn't wacky. That's not wacky.
He's very normal.
You're a doctor and you're rich and you own the Lakers and you like hot chicks. That's not wacky at all,
right? But he had a vision, and it was organized, and there was a thought process behind it, right? So like, that's when guys like Jerry, that's when you get a Jerry West of the world. That's just like, oh, I'm in a good spot. I don't have to scheme to get this thing going in the right direction. I can just be good, and I'm in an environment where that flourishes. I don't have someone that's gunning for my job, that Jerry Buss, like, is trying to like get Jerry Buss's influence, and like, I need to like kiss his ass or bury this guy, right? It's like, that's not the environment that was at the Lakers, right? The Raiders currently, it is that way. And that, and again, we're not even done yet. We still have to get to Richie Incognito. This is literally the last 24 to 36 hours of three very clearly leaked on purpose to specific people to get a specific message out there to bury a specific individual.
Yeah, it just seems okay. I'm going to burn something that I was going to save for a video for myself, but you can tell a good organization. And it's the difference between two words that sound very very alike. Okay, it's consensus over concessions.
Mm-hmm.
And bad organizations make concessions. Good organizations come to a consensus. And it seems like different people at higher areas in the front office were making concessions. Okay, well, if you take that, then I got to take this. And if you get that, then I get this. Instead of coming together to a consensus where everyone can agree, people are making concessions. Okay, well, if you want to have Pete Carroll, that's fine, but I think we should have this guy as offensive coordinator and let him have, let him run the offense. Don't even, let him do it all 100%. Well, then you have a head coach who isn't able to coach the entire team, right? And then you have, well, okay, because you can't coach the entire team, I'll let you hire your sons and put them in prominent positions, right? There's concessions over consensus, and you need to come to a consensus because you have to have one voice, one direction. What I've been saying for forever. This is my only reason for keeping Pete Carroll, because he hasn't done a good job, okay? But the only reason to keep him around is to have a direction to move into. Because and I've said this on my show, I honestly think, okay, it would have done more at this point for his Hall of Fame bid, even if he never made the playoffs with the Raiders. This year and the next two, let's say he coached for 3 seasons. But he laid a foundation, he got young players in, and he set the team up for success going forward. In his swan song, last hurrah, last 3 seasons as a coach, he took a dysfunctional franchise who's been a freaking mess for 23 years, and he steadied the ship, and he put them on a direction. Even if he didn't, get the fruits of that labor himself, he's put the team in a better position with his expertise and with his skills. That would have done more for him as a Hall of Famer than winning a Super Bowl, because he took the Raiders franchise, who's been a freaking mess for over 20 years, and put him in the direction. He could have done that, but he chose opposite. That's very selfish of him. And as a Pete Carroll guy, I'm not afraid to admit it.
And that goes right back to what Amy Trask, how like you can tell what the message was, right? Because she's like, hey, Pete Carroll's awesome, but he's not been given the tools. And notice how she didn't say specifically why Pete Carroll was awesome. It's just all hyperbole. And she didn't say even specifically that Jim Gray was the problem. She was just like, the behind the scenes needs to be better. And you know who's behind the scenes? Jim Gray. There's 1,000 people behind the scenes. There's a bunch of guys that are like making decisions in suits in the front office, right? It could have been, there's 1,000 guys. It's like, hey, some people have sex with sheep, and those people have glasses, and Soto wears glasses. It's like, I didn't say Soto has sex with sheep. I didn't say that. I just said that he wears glasses. Like, that was her. It's like, she didn't say Jim Gray's the problem, and here's why. There's a fucking hornet's nest going on in the front office of the Raiders. And you know who's in the front office of the Raiders? Jim Gray.
Bro, you remember that scene in 21 Jump Street where they put all those freaking like yarns together, and there's like explaining to Ice Cube, okay, these are the dealers, okay, this is I'll put this together myself. It is very artistic, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Let's connect these dots. Amy Trask had a podcast, I don't know if they're still doing it, with Susie Schuster. Right? It's What the Football podcast. Good podcast. I liked it. Susie Schuster is the wife of Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen and Pete Carroll are like buddies. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, man. There seems to be a little bit of a bunny trail going there, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you got a bunny trail from Pete Carroll's telling stuff to Rich Eisen, who tells stuff to Susie Schuster, who tells stuff to Amy Trask, and then she tells the world. The line is there, and it's not subtle. It's not like a sketch line. That's pretty Sharpie line right there. That's like Chola eyebrow Sharpie line. That's pretty clear. Because I hadn't seen this video clip until right now, and I made the connection while I'm talking about other things. I made the connection in my mind, so it's not like subtle.
Last one. This is Richie Incognito on Twitter. And he's replying to just something Lincoln Kennedy talked about Brennan Carroll. And he tweets out, he's got to go. Brennan Carroll hasn't developed this group at all. They've gotten worse every single week. Zero progression, zero improvement. The fundamentals just aren't there. Bad footwork, high pad level, slow hands, blown assignments everywhere. When an O-line looks this lost in week 11, That's 100% on coaching. And here's the part that drives me crazy. We've got 2 third-round rookies who haven't even sniffed the field because you can't get them ready to play. That's the job. Develop young linemen, coach them up, give them a chance to grow. Instead, this room is flat out regressed. Nobody knows who to block, and the technique is awful. At some point, you have to hold the position coach accountable. First off, giant props to Richie for his spelling, grammar, sentence structure. It's flawless. He ran this through ChatGPT. You can tell.
He ran this through chat somebody on the Raiders in front office. That's what he did.
He ran this chat. Let me walk through the nerdery of the Raiders real quick. Hey, I need you to proofread a scathing tweet. All jokes aside, he's all after Brennan Carroll.
100%, he's 100% right.
You tell me the lie. This is what's different. This is what's different between what Amy and Pelissero have said so far is like, I am a very good NFL lineman. I know this position. I know this sport. Here's what he's doing wrong. And it's honestly nothing even like groundbreaking. This is the same shit.
We've been saying this shit for fucking months.
Every Raiders analyst, commentator, tape watcher, media member, you know how hard it is to get pure consensus out of Raider Nation? It's like Charles Woodson worship, Josh McDaniels slander.
Max Crosby's the man. And this line sucks.
And this is what's wrong. And this is what's wrong with the line and how to fix it.
This is probably the worst offensive line I've seen the Raiders have. I'm not going to say probably. This is the worst offensive line. This is by far the worst offensive line I've ever seen.
Like I would have to break my brain to like go back and find even like one shift of one game of one season of one quarter. That's worse than our starting. That's worse than the O-line that the Raiders are like, yep, these are the 5 best. This is who we're going to get first team reps. And here's who we're rolling out.
Yeah, so we got at left tackle, we have a practice squad guy who was released by his old team because he wasn't even good enough for the practice squad on the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. We have a 3rd round pick. We have 2 undrafted free agents. And then on the other side, we have a guy who was a 3rd round pick who was seen at the time to be a reach as a 3rd round pick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not great. But look, God bless Richie Incognito for saying what Lincoln Kennedy can't say. Mm. Because Lincoln Kennedy, he works for the Raiders. There's only so much he can say. So that's big ups to Richie Incognito for saying what Lincoln Kennedy can't. And look, the interview between JT the Brick and Pete Carroll dropped, I believe, yesterday. And JT the Brick is not a journalist. He's a radio host, and he works for the Raiders. Mm. There's certain things he can't say, and people are grilling JT. And I've grilled him in the past, but they're grilling him for not asking tough questions or not following up. That's not his job, okay? Just like right now, it's not Lincoln Kennedy's job to call out people for their job. That's why you have Richie Incognito. And that's kind of like, Lincoln Kennedy, that's Lincoln Kennedy's mouthpiece is Richie Incognito. Mm-hmm.
And so we're not, it feels like a very TMZ gossipy show, and it's not like we're above that. We're certainly down for just some fun clickbait slander. Like, we're down for that. We're the Windbags. But this is the reason we're bringing all these 3 examples up. Pelissero on Chip, Amy Trask on Jim Gray, and Richie Incognito on Brennan Carroll. We're having fun with the slander, but that's not why we're here. We're trying to give you guys an example of what's going on inside the Raiders organization. This shit happens on, like, what you saw in Game of Thrones and Succession is what's happening here. It's a bunch of people all rowing in the wrong direction or in different directions, stabbing each other in the back, politicking, all trying to it's like a reverse secession, though. Like, they're not trying to get the crown. They're trying to just not get fired. They're trying to not have the blame be on them so they can either keep their job or when they eventually get fired, get another job that's okay. It's someone else's fault. This is what happens. We're bringing this up to show you just how deep the problems are with the Raiders. The main problem with the Raiders isn't that the O-line is bad. The main problem with the Raiders is not that the defense can't tackle. Those are problems that need to be worked on. But they're systems of a bigger issue. And this that we're talking about right now is just the less than 1% that kind of goes public. There's so much more behind the scenes that the politicking and backstabbing and just the mess that's going on. And until there's, like Soto and I keep talking about, either a North Star, like just something where everyone can like get behind one thing and go in one direction, whether it's like a great first round quarterback like Soto brought up, or like Pete tried to make it the compete thing where it's like, okay, that's where our focus should be instead of all this superfluous crap. If it's Tom Brady putting his iron fist up the ass of this organization saying, all right, no more fucking around, I'm in charge, we're all doing, like, I don't know what it can be, but I do know it needs to be something. And this is just a less than 1% example of why the Raiders have not been successful for the last quarter century.
Yeah, ever since the last few years of Al Davis's life, he made Jerry Jones look like a Rhodes Scholar. Mm-hmm. Okay. He wasn't sharp. Okay. He had some issues health-wise and just age. Then Mark Davis, admittedly doesn't know what he's doing, and he's relying on a lot of different people to make a lot of different decisions. If Tom Brady is going to be your guy, then Tom Brady needs to be your guy. Tom Brady needs to have a singular focus, a singular vision, and he needs to be able to communicate that vision to everybody. No Jim Grays, no anybody else's. If Tom Brady is going to be that guy, then just pick somebody to be that guy. And everyone below him answers to him. And then you have a hierarchy. You have a dotted line. Who reports to who? What are their responsibilities? You shouldn't have any duplication. You don't have any skipping or any of that stuff. If it's Tom Brady, then who reports to Tom Brady? It's got to be John Spytek. John Spytek, and then under John Spytek are all the coaches and all of the scouts and all the assistant GMs and all those guys. We have to make sure that people know, and people they know where the directive is coming from, and they're not getting different things from different directions, because that's what's happening now. That's what it seems like it's happening now. Anyway, is people are trying to do their job the best that they can, and they're getting different messages from different directions, and it's hard to be productive that way.
All right. With that said, we got a football game on Sunday. We got a lot of football this weekend. Thanksgiving weekends.
Dude,
beautiful,
3 games tomorrow. Dude, that freaking Cowboys-Chiefs game, bro. That's the new Cowboys and Indians.
That's going to be
Cowboys and indigenous First Nation tribe people. Indians.
I'm not digging you out of this. You gotta do it yourself.
Cowboys and Indians, motherfucker. If you don't like it, suck my
red-faced savages. No, sorry. Yeah, dude, that game could do like 45 million viewers. Dude. Like, it's gonna break records.
Yeah, that freaking Friday game is pretty nice too. The Bears and the freaking Eagles. That's a good game, dude. Joe Burrow's coming back on the nightcap on Thanksgiving.
But it's Raiders Chargers on Sunday, afternoon window on Sunday. Chargers off of a bye.
Naturally.
Of course, because that's just how we roll this season.
How we play.
Still fighting. There's a serious fight for the Chargers in the playoff race. And with Chip Kelly getting fired, I guess, again, Greg Olsen is just always like the guy, right? It's like break glass in case of emergency. Greg Olsen will step in, right? I don't know. How different do you think the Raiders look offensively on Sunday?
I don't know if I actually think quite a bit, because I know the playbook is the same, but I think the operation is going to be a lot cleaner. I think there's going to be a lot less play action out of the shotgun, and play action when you're not running the ball and stuff like that. I think it's going to be more. You're going to see more of a conventional offense with more motion and ways for the Raiders to manipulate the formation to get favorable matchups for Brock and stuff like that, and make it harder for the teams to double him. Things that we weren't doing with under Chip. I think Ashton Jennings is going to get a lot more usage, and hopefully this offensive line looks, somewhat competent.
Yeah, I don't know how the offensive line can be saved in a week, right? That's not really like an offensive coordinator. Like, there's some things, right? Like, let's put in a couple more tight ends to block. Let's not leave Stone Forsythe on an island against Myles Garrett. Like,
well, look, if what we're hearing is true, and he's calling wrong plays out of the wrong formations, then you're not blocking the play properly for the formation that you have. So you're supposedly maybe have help from a running back on a certain situation, but you don't because you're in the wrong formation. The running back's in the wrong place, or they should have a tight end on the wing or something. Like, a lot could be going wrong with this thing. And if what we heard is true, I can get that, but it was a lot more of guys getting pancaked one-on-one, especially in the interior.
I wonder what I haven't looked it up, and this is very bad journalism on my part, but normally SoFi, I know, right? Very rare. Normally SoFi Stadium belongs to the Raiders.
It's Rams. It's going to be more of a home game than our home games, I think.
But is it, though, with how bad the Raiders are?
I think so, because these are like LA fans that don't want to go to Vegas.
I'm trying to figure out. They always release that. Like, I don't know how they come up with that data where they're like, oh, yeah, this game in 3 days is going to be 72% away fans. It's like, I don't know how they do that with football. But I'd be very curious. Very curious how that shapes out, because the Raiders are so bad, but it's, it is SoFi. 9.5 point favorites. Chargers.
That's a big number. The last time it was 9.5 was against Denver.
And
that was a lot closer. I made a lot of money that day.
So we wrote down in July every question we have for every game of the season. The question for @Chargers on November 30th, how physical are we? Because it was supposed to be, Harbaugh.
We don't find out.
Not, I think, is the answer. I can tell you. Hey, spoiler alert. Not.
I like how that kind of revolves around the issues with the offensive line. Like, how physical can we be up front?
Well, and this is like, and every time I hear the defense of, maybe not defense of Pete Carroll, but this idea like, but like, Pete Carroll just wants to win every week, and that's not a bad thing. It's like, well, it can be if you don't know who you have or what's going on. So, like, even put aside for 1 second the idea that, like, look, we're not going to the playoffs. This season's a waste. This should all be about getting better next season. That's all the rest of the games, every single practice moving forward. How do we get better next season? And part of getting better for next season is game planning for that week, strategizing for that week, right? Who are we playing? Let's watch some tape. Like, that's part of it, right? Like, you are trying to win that week because that should be the mentality and that should be practice. Like, that should be it, right? So it's like, you're still doing that part, right? But the problem is, it's not just like the fundamentals of our team are bad because it's so young and disorganized, right? Our linemen, like you said, pad levels high, hand placement's wrong, foot speed is slow, all that shit. Defense, no one can tackle. No one's bringing their hips with them and driving their feet. They're just diving at limbs. Like, you have a team where you should be teaching fundamentals. You should be teaching this team the standard fundamentals, bag drills, tackling drills, the simple shit, because that's where this team is right now. O-line, stop trying to do calculus. lower, get your hand, attack, strike first, keep your pads low, keep your feet moving. Basics. That should be what is taught right now, because that's the team that you have. Pete Carroll's like, no, we have a playoff team. Let's put together this elaborate fucking defense. And like, it's like, no, stop trying to teach calculus to a third grader. Teach them really good basic arithmetic so that they'll be ready moving forward for algebra, geometry. Like that's the other part of this too. It's like, well, you can't teach guys not to be good for this week or not try to win this week. Like, I still want these guys to play like they're trying to win this week, but if they don't know how to tackle, how are you going to get them to hide a zone blitz? Like, know who you have.
Yeah, a big issue that I have with what Pete Carroll's been saying, and he may have been covering for Chip because he didn't have personnel decisions offensively, but when he talked about why the rookie offensive linemen haven't played, he talked about not seeing what he wanted to see in practice. The problem is the guys that you're playing in the games are historically bad. So I can understand when, I think it was Hondo Carpenter said it couldn't be any worse, right, if you play the rookie. But, I mean, you know as well as I do, there have been guys who are just not the greatest practice guys, but you get them into a fight and you're like, holy shit, he turns it on. And you don't get game experience on the practice field. And if you're already getting blown out, and the opposing team is putting in their backups and their third stringers or their special teams guys on defense, why not throw your guys in on offense and see what you got? You may have something there.
Especially when you're Pete Carroll, compete. Like,
again, it may not have been his call. That decision may have been taken away from him offensively.
Well, like, look, we know Kappa sucks. We know Putnam sucks.
Let's put him at center.
And so you say to your team, this person is not playing at a level that we want. And so we're going to find someone new until we find someone who can. It's not waving the white flag to start third-round rookies. It's not. You're not giving up by starting third-round rookies because you're not replacing a 7-time Pro Bowler with a third-round rookie. You're replacing an undrafted free agent who's going to be gone next season who sucks, who's terrible. When they're that bad, you roll the dice on anything. When they're that bad, what do we talk about when a coach is awful? You're like, just fire him. We'll figure out who we hire next. With Derek Carr, right? Half of Raider Nation is like, cut him, get rid of him. I don't care who the next guy is. He's that bad. Let's just move on. How about that mentality with guys who are actually that terrible? How about that mentality with Putnam? It's like, this guy should not be starting for this team. Maybe the rookie isn't ready, but we certainly know for a fact that this guy's not ready.
Make him ready.
Or the experiment isn't wrong, right? Like, maybe you're wrong, like, because if Caleb starts on Sunday and gets just demolished, right? He's just terrible. He's not ready. Okay. There's no victory lap for Pete Carroll or anyone, or Brennan Carroll, who's ever making the decision to not play him, because it means you're sticking to something that's not working. You're sticking with something that is clearly losing. Hail Marys are never the wrong play. It's like, yeah, there's a 3% chance this play is going to work.
The only play you got.
But if you don't run it, there's a 0% chance you're going to win. Right? Like, you're down by 5, 60 yards to go. You got to just close your eyes and throw it as far as you can. Will Putnam is that. Kappa is that.
Guys are backups for a reason. Okay? They're backups because they're not as good as the starter. Now, if the starter is doing really, really bad, then guess what? You put the backup in. Right? And we're just not doing that. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I tried to make sense of it. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make sense. Look, Caleb Rogers started 55 games in college. He was a captain the last 2 years of Texas Tech. He played all up and down the offensive line. The dude has a ton of experience in a big conference. The guy can play football. Put him out there and see what he's got.
I just think this whole conversation,
it's crazy.
Got so it's so much simpler than people are making it. The guy who's starting sucks. Let's try someone else.
That's what I said. There's backups for a reason. The guy's a backup. Guess what? Who are you backing up? Like, why do you even have a backup then? If you're just going to put a guy out there who's being god awful.
We don't even need to get into the conversation of, are we playing for this week or next season? We don't even need to get into the conversation of, well, how can you look at Max Crosby who wants to win now? But like, no, okay, like you would still lose all those arguments. Not you, Soto, but like if you're arguing against that, you're still losing all those arguments. But I don't even want to have that argument. The starter's terrible. Proven to be awful. Try someone else. That's it. Don't let your mind, don't let people like confuse you. Like, oh, I'm just a caveman lawyer. The world's dark and scary. Don't fall for that. Don't let the conversation go this direction. It's simply starter blows, try something else. Just leave it at that. Ready to do some what windbags?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Ranger Danger Russell 6464. I'm gonna be honest. I picked him just purely because of the username, but it actually was a good question. I just lucked out. Ashton Genty will pay off. O-line can be fixed in one off season. When I saw that, Soto, I was like, okay, this is the worst offensive line in football. That's stupid. Of course it can't be fixed in one off season. But when you stop for a second and Colton Miller comes back healthy, Jackson Powers-Johnson comes back healthy at center. Guards, they've gotten a little bit more expensive over the years, but it's not like getting a left tackle or a defensive end or a quarterback. One of the right tackles gets average. We could have an average O-line without massive, crazy, we rolled the dice and got super lucky turnover.
So the entire offensive line, the way it's constructed right now, needs to be replaced.
Mm.
The 5 that we started the last game shouldn't be starting next season. You got 2 guys that you drafted last season. Maybe one of them's ready to rock. You got the 2 guys coming back from injury, and you spend some money on 2 guys that are good, solid starters. That's what the Bears did. That's what the Lions did. That's what a lot of teams do with young quarterbacks. We're probably taking a young quarterback very, very high in this draft. And if you do, you need to break the bank, not on weapons, you need to break the bank for your offensive line. Get 2 big-time guys to take those spots on the offensive line. That's what you need to do, because these 5 that are playing right now shouldn't start next season.
The Raiders have 9 figures and 2 good returning off of injury linemen. You can put it is GM malpractice if the O-line next season isn't at least average. At least average. It should be good with the resources available, but it has to be at least average.
Yeah, we need to do some serious. You got to have a great offensive line. If you're going to have a young rookie, you're going to waste them.
Keep it 100 says, just because Tom Brady is keep it 100. I wanted to say 100, but it's literally -100. So I had to whiten it up. Just because Tom Brady is a minority part owner don't mean he's going to make the Raiders great. Michael Jordan didn't make the Charlotte Hornets great. Couple things. I'll start where you're right. Here. Michael Jordan kind of didn't give a shit about being in charge. Didn't really
play golf and smoke cigars, bro.
He had a golf game. He had a tee time he was worried about. He had some bookies he had to dodge. He had some other priorities.
He had some shit going on.
Right? So it wasn't a major priority for Michael Jordan. In fairness, the Raiders aren't a major priority for Tom Brady. Not that he's indifferent. It's just because he's getting $40 million a year to call games for Fox. He's Tom Brady and he's single. That's a full-time job for Tom Brady being single. He's got God knows how many other business interests, and he's starting a fucking.
I thought you were going to say bitches. God knows how many other
bitches and business interests. Bitchness interests. He's doing a fantasy. He's doing a flag football league for the Saudis. Like the guy's busy. Like how much? Seriously, Soto. How much of Tom Brady's waking hours? What percentage is spent on the Raiders?
It's got to be
less than 10.
2
like
hours total.
He's got kids. He's got other business interests. He's getting paid so much by Fox. Like. So it's kind of it's in that vein. It's similar, right? Neither Michael Jordan or Tom Brady are like solely focused on their franchise for very, very different reasons, but they're not, right? But I think the difference here is Tom Brady, I think, gives a shit, and he has the know-how. And Tom Brady was obviously, being a quarterback in the NFL is different than being a leader as opposed to being a forward in the NBA, right? Like it's very different. Kind of like wiring you have to do. So I still think Tom Brady for the Raiders is a net positive, but it can turn negative if everyone's looking at Tom Brady to be the full-time savior. And Tom's like, look, I'll answer 3 text messages a week. Otherwise, I'm balls deep in these 23-year-olds in Tulum, and I've got to fucking learn how to play flag football for a bunch of oil sheiks. Like he's just distracted.
Just as true as the statement, just because Tom Brady is minority order doesn't mean, just because it's Tom Brady doesn't mean he'll fail as well. Just because you don't like Tom Brady doesn't mean he's going to fail.
We use the Jerry West example, right? Jerry West, better GM than player. He's one of these fucking.
Let's hope this whole thing came together pretty quickly in the offseason with Tom Brady's ownership into the offseason. It was a whirlwind. Let's hope after the game stop and he's with the team for the offseason, they're able to settle the waters a little bit, because that, more than anything else, more than fire this guy, fire that guy, cut this guy, cut that guy, more than that is steadying the ship. And people don't like hearing it, but you gotta understand, your way of cut this guy, fire this guy has not worked for 20-something years. Mm-hmm. All the head coaches haven't worked. Got Art Shell, Joe Bugle, Mike White, Hugh Jackson, Tom Cable, like all these guys that were 1-2 year guys, cut, bang, 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 bang. That hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. You have to pick a direction and you have to move forward. That, more than anything, is going to do us much better.
Last one, Robert Miller, 2287. So instead of the GM talking directly to the coach, he went to social media to make a point. You need to put down the crack pipe and get help. He's talking about how John Spytek spent all off season, all early season doing this interview campaign to be like, hey, we're optimistic. We love it here. Things are going to go great. But the brake pedal's on the left. We need to build a foundation. We got to go nice and slow.
Smooth as fast.
So, yeah. I don't really love that quote, but I get where he's going with it. But, again, I'm not saying he didn't talk to Pete Carroll, too.
Yeah, that's a false statement. That has been told to Pete Carroll. And we know that that's been the case. The front office told Pete Carroll, get more undrafted free agents and play the rookies. And he's like, no, he convinced him he could win now with 1 year guys. And he can't. So no, thank you for the comment, Robert Miller, 2287, but that is absolutely incorrect. He didn't go to social media. He was on an interview circuit, pressers and stuff like that. And he did directly tell Pete Carroll, I want you to lean heavily on undrafted free agents and rookies. And Pete Carroll said,
and he didn't do it because he didn't talk to Pete. It was like, I have to find a way to get through to Pete. Talking to him didn't work. Let me try it another way. It's just like, I got to get through to this guy. And he was right.
He was right.
And Spytek was right.
Of course he's right. He's the one that constructed the team. He's the one that didn't spend $30 million, you know?
Well, enjoy your Thanksgiving.
You as well, sir.
I'm looking forward.
You know what? Because of you, I started doing the cold plate before and after, like a charm.
I'm telling you, I've been preaching it for years on my radio show to you. Anyone will listen. The cool down plate, the pre plate's good too. I say like
I do the pre plate. I do the salad before and the salad after. It freaking works like a charm.
The cool down plate after is essential. If you bookshelf it, bookend it, it's even better. But I'm telling you, fucking get balls deep in what you want. Get the gravy, get the mashed potatoes, get the turkey, get all the carbs. Cool down plate. Salad, some cold vegetables, something raw after, settles the stomach. You feel great. Your body feels like you just ate vegetables and not 9,000 milligrams of sodium. It feels like the last thing you ate. Make your day whole much better. I'm telling you, nutritionist Clifford.
Let me give you guys a tip. Okay. And I've tried this myself. If your feelings a little bloated and you're a little full after Thanksgiving, get yourself a nice, maybe 1/4-inch slice of a medium-sized raw potato. Just a slice of raw potato. It's not going to taste great, but just, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but it works like a freaking charm. Works better than an antacid, I'm telling you.
It dupes your body into thinking, oh, I just had a bunch of raw vegetables. My body needs that. Never mind the fact that I just had 8,000 calories of gravy. But, oh, no, I just ate some raw vegetables.
I don't understand people that don't like, if you make gravy out of a package, how dare you? You need a little bit of flour and the drippings that are in the bottom of the pan, maybe a little bit of pepper, and you're good to go. That's all.
Gravies is it's the most genius, how do we take this waste and turn it into something delicious? You know? It'd be like taking the smog coming out of the car engine and turning it into boob job.
Making tires out of it or something.
Yeah, it's just perfect. It's just genius.
So good.
All right. Love you, Windbags. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the football. And we will see you next time. And until next time, knock on wood if you're with me.
Well, looky at you making it to the end of this video. You look like you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you really love it, go ahead and subscribe.